Yeah, this is starting off the way it normally does. Hello YouTube, my name is Isabella. Today I'm going to be doing another unhaul. Not original at all, but I got really sick in the month of August to a bit of September. I'm still not out of the woods yet, and things have sucked. And I spent a lot of my time in August just being sick, either watching TV or just being sick and kind of like staring at my shelves. I guess I kind of turned inward and thought a lot about the way that I was buying books, how many things I have on my shelves. I've mentioned frequently throughout my pretty frequent unhauls this year that I'm not happy with how many books I own, how many are unread to read. There are a lot of things going through my head that have kind of made up this unhaul, and when I was feeling better I just started pulling shit off my shelves. Some books I've actually read and just don't want anymore. I actually went through my closet because I have some closet hidden books too, and I found some really random crap, and it just feels nice to get rid of it. And I'm working with this lady that I found on Facebook who like gives like YA books to like children's hospitals for teens who often get forgotten and all that kind of stuff. So I'm happy with where it's going. This intro is long, and again, it's not a personal attack on the books that I'm getting rid of. Some I've read, thought were okay, whatever. I just want to curate my collection and my space, and getting rid of, I don't know, 25 more books is a good way to do it. I also don't have that much space left on my shelves anymore. We're going to start off with Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. I was vaguely interested in this. A lot of people were talking about it, and I acquired it from a book outlet box sale, which I used to love, obviously still don't support. And you just essentially, there were tables filled with books, and you spent 35 bucks on a box, and you just filled as many books as you possibly could, which obviously was detrimental to my TBR, and I'm still feeling the ramifications of the 2-3 times that I had gone. But this is one of the casualties. It is pretty beat up, like it was scratched, but at the time that I grabbed it, it was still new. So I was like, yeah, whatever, I don't care that it's kind of messed up. It takes a lot for me to want to pick up a young adult contemporary at the moment, and like a sort of quiet, vaguely romantic one doesn't really seem interesting to me. So I'm hoping a actual young adult will enjoy this book. I've also decided to bite the bullet and get rid of my entire Morgan Matson collection, which sounds weird because I think I've only read 2 of the books on here. I read Amy and Roger's Epic Detour, didn't like it. I think I gave it 2 stars, and that was a few years ago, which is saying a lot. I did read also Since You've Been Gone, and I enjoyed this one. I think I gave it 4 stars, and I think it was fun, but again, not something I'm attached to nor need. I also have Second Chance Summer by her. Did not read this one. 2 of her newer releases, The Unexpected Everything. This was definitely a book outlet purchase. And Save the Date. This was a book outlet box purchase. I will also be getting rid of My Not So Perfect Life by Sophie Kinsella. This is actually an adult contemporary, and I thought this was a more romantic thing when reading it, and it's not. It's definitely on the contemporary end. And I also don't have really great feelings about this book because when I read this, my grandmother had passed away. I was like in the middle of the audiobook, and so it just doesn't give good memories. I didn't particularly care for the book. I gave it barely 3 stars, so again, I don't need it. To be perfectly honest, I think I've been holding on to this because I love the color of the spine, and I don't have rainbow shelves, like a whole shelf that's rainbow, but I have individual shelves that have rainbow, and this is a really nice color. Okay, some of the random crap that I found, I don't remember how I got these, other than I think a lot of them, again, were book outlet things. You know what? Maybe it's a great thing that I'm not personally supporting book outlet anymore because my TBR has become a nightmare. Anyway, so I'm getting rid of Spindle by E.K. Johnston. This, I think, was inspired by like 1001 Nights, Arabian Nights, but this is the sequel to the first book, and I don't think the first book is in print anymore, nor am I interested in this author's take on an Arabian Nights retelling. Another random grab, Romeo and or Juliet. Choose Your Own Path Adventure by Ryan North. It's literally a choose your own path thing, which sounds kind of cool, but like, it's long. Normally choose your own adventures are short. This is, it looks like there are like 400 or something choices that you have to do, and that just seems way too extensive, and someone else probably, hopefully, will get more enjoyment out of it. I also found Catching Stars by Kayla Keenan. I held on to this for a while because this is an indie published book, and I think I got it with an Owl Crate. And while I would like to support indie publishers and whatnot in the future, and like still now, I don't have any interest in this book. In this book, I'm finally getting rid of this book. This is Reign of Serpents by Eleanor Herman. This is the third book in a series that I had never read, never started. I actually entered a Goodreads giveaway for this book and won it. It's a finished copy. And then when I got the book in my hands, I realized it wasn't the book that I thought I was entering the Goodreads competition for. So I held on to it because of guilt, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll read the first two and then I'll have the third, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going to read 3 books in a series because I'm guilty that I accidentally won a Goodreads giveaway. I think this is also historical fiction / historical inspired fantasy, but real low-key on the fantasy element, so no thanks. I can't even remember at this point in time though, which I find hilarious, but I cannot remember what book I thought I had won at this point in time, so I think that's good enough for me to get rid of it. Another random book outlet grab was Ceremony by Leslie Marmon Silko. This collection is gorgeous. However, I would say 75% of the books that are in this really nice collection, I am not interested in reading. So I'm not going to do a whole collection of books, like 12 books that I'm just not interested in reading, especially now that I don't support Book Outlet, and that's where I would have purchased them. A book that I have read on this stack is Walk Unearth a Stranger by Ray Carson. I read this a few years ago, and I also read the sequel both via audiobook, and this one I liked but had a lot of issues with it. Read the second one, didn't particularly like that one and had even more issues with it, so I'm giving up on the series. I don't need to own this book anymore, although it is really nice and the books are pretty, but yeah, I have no attachment to this whatsoever. I think I gave it, again, a 3-star-ish rating, and it hasn't like aged well in my feelings. I will also be getting rid of Dare Mighty Things by Heather Kaczynski. This is a space training book that was really popular because Books and Lala really likes it. She talked about it a lot, and I figured I'd give it a shot. I tried to read this, and I think I got like 5 pages in, and I was like, I'm not interested in space training. Really, it's not the sort of sci-fi that pulls me in or interests me. I would rather read sci-fi about space. I think the one book I'm most torn about getting rid of is actually Tiger Lily by Jodi Lynn Anderson. This is a retelling or a story inspired by Tiger Lily from Peter Pan, and I think it gives her more like agency and action and whatnot. And this book was popular a few years ago, and I always intended on reading it, and it's nice and short. Tiger Lily was an Indigenous character, and this isn't written by an Indigenous author, I'm pretty sure, and I'd rather read fiction by a First Nations author than reading like a retelling of some sort of story, even if Tiger Lily is a fictional character. Cal Surprise, the title of this should be a Book Outlet Unhaul. Another random Book Outlet box sale grab. This is Vincent and Theo by Deborah Heligman. This, I guess this is a fictional account, or if this is nonfiction, but it's inspired by the life of Vincent van Gogh and his brother, and it was nominated for the Prince Award, I think the same year Strange the Dreamer won the Prince Award, and I was like, oh yeah, sure. But I also think this is nonfiction that I'm not interested at all. If you don't know this about me, I don't like mystery thrillers that often. They bore me, and I usually read 1 or 2 around this time in like September, October, and that's it for the entire year, so I don't need to have a big collection. The ones I've chosen to get rid of this time are The Dry and Force of Nature by Jane Harper. This, I believe, even leans more to the mystery side of mystery thriller with a detective, and that does not interest me in the slightest. A lot of people have read these books, and it's popular, I think, like not online in online spaces, but online and booktube, these are not super popular. I've seen a lot of negative reviews, and if I'm going to read a mystery, it better be a damn good one. I'm not going to waste my time on subpar mystery series. No thank you. I'm also going to get rid of The Conspiracy of Us by Maggie Hall. I have been so attached to the idea of reading this for so long. It's like a YA sort of spy espionage thing, which sounds kind of cool, and it's a freaking whole trilogy that I don't particularly want to get invested in at this point in time. So I figured I could pass it along and someone else will really enjoy it. A couple more that I have read are The Bells by Danielle Clayton. I unfortunately really did not like this story. I think I gave it 2 stars, which was such a bummer because I was so excited. I pre-ordered the book. I was like, yes, we're gonna love this. And I didn't. I'm really sad that I'm getting rid of this book because I was so excited for it. That is Want by Cindy Pon. This is a signed copy that I got from, you guessed it, Book Outlet. And I was so excited for this. I've been excited to read some of Cindy Pon's works for a while. I put it on a list of 20 books to read this year. I was excited to read it. It did let me down. I thought the characters fell pretty flat, and it didn't work for me. It was a futuristic sci-fi dystopian sort of book, so I figured I might as well also get rid of this. Hopefully someone will find value in this being a signed edition. And yeah, I was super bummed not to have enjoyed this book. The last 2 I feel really bad to get rid of them because they are signed and personalized to me. Before I got sick, or during when I got sick, I posted a video called Should I Read These Books? And doing that, I basically chronicled all the books that I purchased in 2016, which is the year that I really started. I hope you can't hear my like little baby cousin crying. I hope you can't, but she's very loud. But the video was me working through all the oldest books on my TBR, whether or not I should read them, if I have any more interest, and kind of getting like community input. And doing that actually allowed me to want to get rid of some things and work through it kind of on camera. And one of them being Julia Vanishes by Catherine Egan. I purchased this at a book signing of 4 authors. I was more excited for like 2 authors, and then I purchased the other authors' works because I didn't want to be rude. It was my first signing ever. But this is the start of a young adult trilogy. I've seen literally no one talk about this book. I am not interested in reading this story, and I'd rather pass it along even if it is signed and personalized to me. Someone else should find value in this more than I. It has been collecting dust. Yeah, I just don't want to read it at all. And the final book, I think, in my stack is a book I've also held on to because I felt super guilty about like no longer wanting to read this book. I think I got it in 2017, but it's also one of the oldest books on my TBR, and that's none other than Zenith by Sasha Ellsberg and Lindsay Cummings. I don't know how to phrase this sentence without sounding really rude, but when I was new to BookTube and like still didn't know like many booktubers, I was following a lot of the big booktubers. And when Sasha said she was coming out with a book, I was like, that's so cool. I'm going to support, pre-order, yay, support booktubers, without really paying attention to what the book was about. And not that I'm not supporting booktubers now, like I don't want that ever to be the thought that comes from this, but this book does not interest me at all. A lot of booktubers have reviewed this and said that it's just not particularly well written, so I think I just need to pass it on. It was a cool experience. Meeting Sasha was lovely, Lindsay was lovely, Ariel Bissett was there too. I don't need to read this book. I'm okay to pass it along. A teen would probably enjoy this a lot more than I, so I'm happy to get rid of it. So these are all the books that I'm getting rid of this round in my unhauls. I have been enjoying doing these unhauls, working through my feelings and changing my shelves to more reflect who I am as a reader now as opposed to me as a reader 4 or 5 years ago. I was going to say let me know down in the comments if there's any books you think I should save, but I literally have a lady coming to pick them up. Oh God. I hope you can't hear that screaming and crying. If you can, I sincerely apologize. But the lady that I'm working with, she is literally coming within like the span of a couple hours. So these books won't be saved. They'll be gone before a long time before you go and actually see this video. I haven't filmed in so long, guys. This is a bit of a nightmare. I apologize. It's all over the place. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you again very soon. Goodbye.